Hey everybody, this is Jiminy Rabbitson coming to you live from the breadbasket of America, and I'm going to go over Codex 3 of Twilight Imperium. Now, I'm starting here off on you can go to Fantasy Flight Games, look at all the codexes and everything, all the updates and everything. I have the expansion. I've been playing Twilight Imperium, the 4th edition, for, I don't know, like 2 years now, basically. I've got a big group of friends that love playing it. We play it maybe, probably at least once every 2 weeks, sometimes a little bit more than that. But yeah, no, super fun game, and I always love it when new stuff comes out. Also, massive D&D fan, so I know this has been in the works for a while, but Embers of the Imperium appears to be their RPG game coming out for Twilight Imperium, and it's going to use, I believe, the new Vigil faction your as the hook, as where your party is located in the game. I don't know a whole lot about it because I mean literally this paragraph here is all we've been given basically. There I got from I believe it was Free Comic Book Day or Free RPG Day last year. They had a little pamphlet that gave you a sneak peek about it, but I have that laying around. I never really looked at it, but I am excited for the game. I've never played the Genesis system. I'm sure it's fine. I would hope that they'd maybe do kind of a D20 based system or like more like 5th edition, but that's neither here nor there. Also, I apologize. I don't know what it is. I think it's allergies or something like that. I got COVID tested. It's not that. So, but the last few days, I've just like allergies must have just hit me like a truck. So I'm sorry if I feel a little congested or anything. But I wanted to go over what Codex 3 brings to Twilight Imperium. So first off, and I've already looked at this, but I haven't actually compared them to the original cards yet. So that's what I hope to do for you. So maybe it'll help people out there. So the first one is the Shiksha Hero. Their political data nexus. So what it says here is when you exhaust planets, combine the value of their resources and influence, treat the combined value as if it were both resources and influence. So you can just do a bunch of production or something, I guess, or maybe this might be a clutch move for if you need one of those like high costing 2 pointers that it's like spend 16 influence or something like that. That might be a very useful thing. Originally, and this is the last card, the hero card that you get with the turtles. Originally, it was as an action. You may discard one law from play. Look at the top 5 cards of the agenda deck. Choose 2 to reveal and resolve each as if you had cast 1 vote for an outcome of your choice. Discard the rest. Other players cannot resolve abilities during this action phase. Then purge the card. Honestly, I like this one better. Uh, and I'm now reading the little paragraph beforehand. It's because they definitely nerfed them. They're saying that it's an unstoppable swing by the Chicha hero. Um, yeah, I could see why. We've had them play twice now since the hero expansion, and this happened both times. And the first time actually got the personal victory point and within score distance of winning the game. The second time didn't seem that big of a deal, but it's still a massive swing. Like it really is. Like they got to buff up their fleets and everything based on the laws and stuff that they got to choose from. So yeah, they definitely got nerfed. They may have gotten nerfed too hard. Uh, well, I say that, but as far as this card is reading, this is one of the few heroes that doesn't exhaust. So, yeah. So it just makes all of your planets just insanely productive or resource heavy. So, I don't know. Like it's a they just traded one really good thing for another really good thing. I don't know like if you're in a production heavy game, turtles could be useful. Next, Yen Brotherhood got a lot of changes. Sorry. let me. Sorry about that. The Okay, so Brother Mylor. After a player's unit is destroyed, you may exhaust this card to allow that player to place two fighters in the destroyed unit's system if it was a ship, or two infantry on its planet if it was a ground force. So this is a change. It allows you to replace infantry now. It used to just be space combat, so now it gives it a little bit more oomph and allows you to do it for ground combat as well. Brother Omar. This card satisfies the green technology prerequisite. When you research a tech owned by another player, you may return one of your infantry to reinforcements to ignore its prerequisites. So I believe, and I will read off what it originally said, is this card satisfies a green tech. You may produce one additional infantry for their cost. These additional units do not count against your production. So instead, it made it even more tech focused. Um, so when you research a tech owned by another player, you may return one of your infantry to reinforcements to ignore its prerequisites. So it gives you a little bit more buying capability for technologies. It is true though, like I forget who played them last, but the green tech skip is fine for them. It's interesting. Not many others have like a hero or a commander that gives you just a tech skip. So it is interesting. The extra infantry, it means that to get the value out of it, you have to be building infantry. Whereas having it more focused on the tech, I think, is a better choice. Because one infantry, realistically, it's less than one trade good. So it's not a super great thing. Even this one though, it's like now you have to be spending infantry to ignore other prerequisites. But I'd rather be doing that and getting really good. Like have someone else be researching a bunch of tech and then you kind of riding on their coattails, getting really good tech as well. And lastly, their big guy, their big hero, quantum dissemination. Well, this is interesting. So because maybe they just changed it outright because this is Danel of the 10th and the card on here says Quantum Dissemination, whereas the old card was Spinner Overdrive. So they must have just changed the name completely. They usually don't do that. Uh, Action: commit up to 3 infantry from your reinforcements to any non-home planet and resolve invasions on those planets. Players cannot use Space Cannon against these units. So I kind of get it because this goes off of their ability that you can basically, since it's not home planet, you can just plop 3 infantry onto Mechatol, then use the Yin's ability to convert infantry or units to your side. And so if they're not heavy on infantry on Mechatol, you could take it from them or any other planet. You could just basically put 3 down, convert 1 or 2 maybe. I can't remember exactly how many you can actually convert with them, and then just take a planet from them. So not super bad. The old one was as an action for each planet that contains any number of your infantry, either ready that planet or place an equal number of infantry from your reinforcements on that planet, then purge the card. So I kind of like. It's kind of hard to say. I like this one because it really goes into the like converting like a planet. Like you can really like hurt someone by like taking a core planet, most likely Mechatol. But it's also situational. Like you have to be able to take that planet by converting their stuff. The Whereas this one, again, it's like you can either play it like really defensively, where it's like in game, all my planets get an infantry, or in game, I really need those resources. I'm gonna unexhaust all my plants. So I'd say the Spinner Overdrive's probably more powerful, but the new one I'd say is more thematic for converting, which is kind of the Yin's whole thing aside from being suicide bombers. Lastly, for changes with the current people. We've got the Nalu, which, as my friends have put it, are the one race that got super nerfed in with the big expansion pack. And I would agree with them. So I'm happy that they got some changes with their heroes and such, because yeah, they were hurting with the new expansion. They still get to go on turn 0, but it's like all of their hero, like they got nothing basically for their heroes and stuff. So that, at least that's what they say. And I have, it's been a while since I actually looked at them, so maybe I'll see that right now. So their new thing, as an action, their first guy, right? Right? Yeah, their first person action. Exhaust this card and choose a player. That player may perform a tactical action in a non-home system without placing a command token. That system still counts as being activated. Exhaust this card and choose a player. That player may perform a tactical action in a non-home system without placing a command token. Okay, so it basically saves you on command tokens every turn, which is really good. You have one extra tactical action basically each turn, which is really good. So what their original one was, after an agenda is revealed, you may exhaust this card to look at the top card of the agenda deck. Then you may show that card to one other player. So again, that's awful. Who cares? Like, looking at the top of the agenda deck, it's not usually that game changing of thing, because like there's going to be a vote and it could go either way kind of thing. So looking at the top of the agenda deck, like it's useful, but it's not as useful as this. This is like every turn from the get-go, you have an extra action. This one only comes into effect once agendas are actually being revealed, which won't be until maybe turn 2, turn 3, sometimes turn 1 if someone's fast enough to get to Mechatol, but often not. It's usually turn 2 or 3. The So yeah, great upgrade for Zue. I don't know how you'd say it. The So let's look at Maban. At any time, you may look at your neighbor's hands of promissory notes and the top and bottom card of the agenda deck. So this is an awesome passive. Like I was saying about the agenda deck, it's not super useful if only like you're only allowed to use it every once in a while, like when you exhaust the card, like it was written originally. This one allows you anytime during the game. You can look at the top and bottom. So when someone does politics and is able to look and place cards on the top and bottom of the deck, you're able to look at them too, and you're able to figure out like, hey, what's coming down the line? Maybe I can plan ahead a little bit. Maybe I can see what they got rid of and be like, oh, well, that's a good thing they got rid of that. So that's nice. The promissory note one, I mean, based on like how my friends and I play, it probably won't come up that often. It's very rare that people will be like, hey, what about this? And like keep it away from everyone. But it's like, I'll trade you this promissory note for that promissory note. Like we usually play fairly above board on like what we're trading between everyone at the table. Mostly because like people don't want to like, no one ever feels good when getting blindsided being like, I've got this card and everything, and you can't attack me or anything. So we usually play above board. I don't know how often that one's going to come up, but it's a nice passive at least, that they have. It's not super powerful, but their original was you may produce one additional fighter for their cost. These additional units do not count against your production limit. So like the Yin Brotherhood, it's like who cares? It means that you're going to be building more fighters. Now I will agree that like the what do you call them? The snake people, Nalu. I forget what you call them. The the yeah, it is the Nalu. Um, they are seemingly the fighter faction, so it's good for them. But it also like it's just another thing being it's like, do I want to spend resources building fighters and just getting one extra one? I don't know. Like it's it's an up in the air kind of thing. But their mech though, and this is the one I'm kind of interested in because this one is their mech's ability. So the cost and combat ability didn't change at all. So the thing that really changed was its ability. So other players cannot use anti-fighter barrage against your units in this system. Originally, it was during combat against an opponent who has at least one relic fragment, apply +2 to the results of this unit's combat rolls. So this is definitely a lot better. The anti-fighter barrage is way better, and it's a massive like shutdown to people like Ardent Flight, whose destroyers are just freaking amazing. If they upgrade their destroyers, if they have their tech that makes them better and everything, like their destroyers hit like a truck because they can be doing hits to your other ships, not just your fighters. This just shuts that down completely, and like it means that with there being absolutely no anti-fighter barrage, that's why Nalu should be producing just tons of fighters, basically. Things with capacity and a bunch of fighters, basically. And this makes it a heck of a lot better. Whereas the original one, it's like, sure, now people will probably have one or two relic fragments, but usually people are trying to get rid of them too. Like, usually people are trying to trade them away and everything. So it's a situational, like, buff. I would much rather, instead of being a situational +2, just give them +1. Just make their combat 5 instead of 6. Like, why be a situational 2 when you could just be an always 5? As in +2 when it could just be 5. The rest of these I don't have the cards laid out for, but I didn't think it would really matter. The infamous trio of secret objectives has been adjusted to match expectations a little more closely and should now synergize with various action cards and abilities that make completing them a little more intuitive. So turn their fleets to dust. Action phase. Destroy the last of a player's non-fighter ships in the active system during the space cannon offense step. Okay, so you have to destroy all the ships with space cannons. Period. Cool. Second one, make an example of their world. Destroy the last of a player's ground forces on a planet during the bombardment step. So from space, you bombard the heck out of them, and they are gone even before invading. Done. Easy enough. Fight with precision. Destroy the last of a player's fighters in the active system during the anti-fighter barrage step. Great for Ardent Flight. I'm pretty sure that sort of yeah, I accomplished this one in our last game when I played Ardent Flight. We get a few new, I believe these are just new. Yeah, 6 new Frontier Exploration cards. So we just get 6 new Exploration cards. Draw a Relic. That's pretty nice. Gain 1 command token and 1 trade good. Also nice. Gain 1 command token, 2 trade goods. Gain 1 command token, 3 trade goods. Gain 2 command tokens. Gain 2 command tokens. That's cool. Kaleris ship, Kaleris ship. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Tying in the new faction there as well. They also have different, if you notice, these are the same card, but they have different, what do you call it? Fluff in the bottom. And finally, the big boy, the big reason why people want to look at Codex 3 is the new faction. The Council of Kaleris, also is what I've been calling them, the Vigil. We've got the first commander. I keep calling them commanders. I know they each have like their captain, commander, and hero and all that. I just call them all commanders for whatever reason. I just call them first, second, and third. So first one, at any time, you may exhaust this card to allow any player to spend commodities as if they were trade goods, which is great for you because you'll see later that you're good at getting your commodities back. So yeah, and it could be a good trade agreement with someone else to allow them to turn their commodities into trade goods. So pretty nice, pretty solid. Um, Second one, unlock by spending 1 trade good after you play an action card that has a component action. So right off the bat, because I've already looked at this faction, and you'll see why, is focused on action cards, commodities, and Mechadol Rex. Those are the 3 things that this seems to be focused on, as far as I can see. It's pretty cool, pretty synergistic. I love the theme of it. I think it's a perfect fit, and it's very unique and very interesting. And it's not doesn't look overpowered at all. It just looks like kind of a fun, interesting thing to play. Like I said, it doesn't seem like it's just gonna like ram through people and stuff like that. It's very interesting in its synergy. So you're likely going to be digging for action cards, and you're likely going to have your resources because of your first commander, so to use trade goods and get trade goods from them. So it'll probably be pretty easy for you to get this guy unlocked. You could probably get it unlocked turn 1, and then after that, after you perform a component action, so after you perform an action card that has the action component on it, you may perform an additional action. So this sounds good. This right here is why this is an action card focused faction. Um, I don't know how good this will actually stack up because I can't remember honestly all the action cards that have action components. So you'll be digging for action cards, hoping to get action cards with the action component the entire game, just to get that additional, like, to get your values worth of being able to do more actions per turn kind of thing. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping we're going to be playing a game next Monday, and maybe I'll have an update for you guys if you guys like this kind of content, and hopefully someone will play this. I'm hoping to play it if no one else does. Um, so we then have their two techs and their mech. So let's go with their mech first. So their mech cost 2, combat 6, that's pretty standard. Other players must spend 1 influence to commit ground forces to the planet that contains this unit. So not super powered, super overpowered, just a nuisance, like making people like flip a planet over or something to fight you. It's a little it's kind of annoying. Also, I was talking to a friend of mine. Pretty sure this stacks. Like if you because it's this unit, as in if you have 4 of these, those are 4 this units. So if you have 4 mechs on Mechatol Rex, someone has to spend 4 influence to even fight you on Mechatol Rex. That's how I'm reading it. That could be eroded later, but that's how I'm reading it right now. This guy, big boy, right here. Your neighbors with all players that have units or control planets in or adjacent to Mechatol Rex system gain the Custodia Vigilia planet card and its legendary planet ability card. You cannot lose these cards, and this card cannot have an X or Y assimilator token placed on it. So what this is, and you'll see later down here, is that these guys are the space cops. These guys are the law of Twilight Imperium, and what they have is they have a space station basically that's inside Mechatol Rex. So you don't have to own Mechatol Rex to have this card. You're like you're the security force on Mechatol Rex, which constitutes basically its own planet and stuff that has its own stuff. But that card, the uniqueness of it, and I'll show later, is good both if you own Mechatol Rex and if someone else owns Mechatol Rex. You still get bonuses for both of those factors. Obviously, you want Mechatol Rex for yourself, but you'll get bonuses for both. Next thing, 2 yellows, which you'll probably just go straight into with this one. So you'll need, and your starting text, hopefully you'll have a yellow with your starting text. But this one, whenever you resolve one of your production abilities, you may resolve an additional one of your production abilities in any system. The additional use does not trigger this ability. What I like about this is that it works with warfare. Someone pops warfare, you use the secondary of warfare, you can produce in your home system and produce wherever else you have a space dock. So if you have a space dock on Mechatol and in your home system, you can do both right then and there. You can build on both of them, secure both of them, which is awesome. Um, this is the unique part about. I mean, there's a lot of unique things, but this is the really unique thing: is that when you pick this faction, you pick either the Ardent Flight, the Turtles, or the Mintak, and you use their tokens for your tokens. They don't have their unique token bags and stuff like that. You use their tokens, and you get this last commander for the thing. The thing is, though, is that if someone's playing Ardent Flight, you cannot use this commander. You have to use one of the other two. If someone's playing Ardent Flight and Turtles, you have to use Mentak if you want to use this faction. If someone's playing all 3, you can't play this faction apparently. So it's interesting, but it also makes it super unique and super different each time you play because you're going to have a different commander or a choice of a different commander each time you play. So the first one, place your flagship and up to a total of 2 cruisers and or destroyers from your reinforcements in the active system, then purge this card. So basically, you're flying in a whole bunch of stuff to go take something late game. Second one, after an agenda is revealed, you may cast an additional 6 votes to the agenda. Predict aloud an outcome of this agenda for each player that votes for another outcome. Gain 1 trade good and 1 commodity. This one's interesting. I don't necessarily like it. Of the three, I like it the least, mostly because when you do stuff like this, one, it's a dependent on what agendas are revealed. Two, usually if something's going to go your way, and you'll get like you'll put a rider or something on the opposite one to make it less enticing. People will abstain so you don't get the benefits. So if I do this, I vote for something, and instead of everyone else being like, oh well, it's just gonna go for, so I'm just gonna abstain so you don't get trade goods and command tokens. It's very like it's it's one of those things where it could probably guarantee you the vote to go your way, but the +1 trade good, +1 command token doesn't seem that beneficial because the fact that people can just abstain. If it also said that if people for each person that abstains, you also get a trade good in a commodity or in a command token, then it'd be awesome. But the fact that it doesn't, it's just one of those things that I see it happen so many times that it's just going to happen. That's why I don't think it's the greatest. The second one, it's an action. Reveal this card from the reveal cards from the action card deck until you reveal 3 action cards that have component actions. Draw those cards and shuffle the rest back into the action card deck. Then purchase card. This is the one that I would probably pick the most out of the 3 because it synergizes with the other abilities so well that you can do another action after you've already played an action card. In late game, you'll have an additional 3 actions with the action card component, and having more turns to stall out the game is also super beneficial. So I would probably pick the Mintak of the 3. The second one I'd pick would be the birds. Third one would be turtles. Um, Here's the planet. So it's 2/3. Uh, I don't believe you can actually build on it because like it's not really anywhere, but it's like within Mechatol. Um, so while you can, and this is the planet, like you can see, like it's inside Mechatol. So while you control Mechatol Rex, it gains Space Cannon 5 and Production 3. So it makes Mechatol a lot better for building and defending if you own Mechatol and this planet, and this planet card. If someone else owns Mechatol and they pop Imperial, gain 2 command tokens whenever someone scores victory points is using Imperial. And I just realized that it's just victory points. It's not just the Mechatol one. It's if they score the public objectives as well, because you can also score public objectives off of Imperial. So that's actually really good because anytime someone pops Imperial, you most of the time they're doing it for a victory point. So you're going to be getting 2 command tokens anytime. That'll probably come up 1 to 3 times a game, but 2 extra command tokens, that's pretty good. And a 2/3 planet, like just for a single tech, that's just 1 yellow. Like that, it's a no-brainer that you take this because also if you get Mechatol, the then yeah, like it's way more defended. And also, if you're on Mechatol and someone takes Imperial to stop you from taking Imperial, they may still score public objectives off of Imperial, meaning that you will still get those 2 command tokens. So it just makes them want Mechatol that much more. Their writer, you cannot vote on this agenda. Predict aloud an outcome of this agenda. If your prediction is correct, draw 1 action card and gain 2 trade goods. Then return this card to the Keleres player. So that's a really cool one. It's their alliance card that they can give to people, I believe. So it acts as a rider that someone can use during the agenda phase. So 1 action card and a trade good for something that you don't care which way it goes. You just wanna put a rider on it. Pretty solid. And here is their command sheet. So first, flagship. Other players must spend 2 influence to activate the system that contains flagship. It's not super great. Combat's not that great. Capacity is amazing. So that's really good. But not again, it's an annoyance. It means people probably won't be attacking you. It's more defensive. Like that seems to be this group's whole shtick. is it's defensive. But let's go over the abilities. The Tribuni. During setup, choose an unplayed faction from the Mintek, Jucha, and Ardent Flight. So that's what I was talking about before. You get one of their hero cards. Council Patronage. Replenish your commodities at the start of the strategy phase, then gain one trade good. So every turn, you replenish commodities and gain a trade good. You only have 2 commodities, which kind of sucks, but because you start with that one hero, you effectively start with 3 trade goods each uh, each strategy phase. So again, pretty good, honestly. Um, Last one, you may spend 1 influence at the start of your turn to treat all laws as blank until the end of your turn. This is where I was saying it's like these guys, they're the law. Like they can ignore the laws in place, which can be really good because there are laws that shut down wormholes. There are laws that can connect wormholes. There are laws that shut down your mech's abilities. There's tons of laws out there that this would be great for. There are laws that make also I was talking to another friend of mine, and I think this is how it works. There are laws that say you can only have. There are laws that allow you to build more PDS on a given planet. So you can have, like, let's say 3 PDS on a planet. If you do this ability, that law is no longer in effect, which means that that person has to destroy those PDS. The law is no longer in effect for that turn, which means those PDS are gone. So it's also, it can be really, like, it can really hurt people too, depending on what laws are in place. And then the last thing is what they get starting off, which isn't that great, mostly because of the 2 infantry. With only 2 infantry, it means you can only take 2 planets at most turn 1. Possibly, like, it's depending on how you play it, you could get maybe at max 4 if you took Warfare turn 1. Um, yeah, it's one of those things. Like you need infantry to take planets, so the fact that you don't have a lot at the very beginning kind of hurts. You do get 2 carriers, you get 2 fighters, you get a cruiser and a space dock. It's likely that you're going to be building a lot of infantry turn 1 and 2. So that kind of hurts the faction a little. It's not terrible, but also your carriers are only movement 1, your cruisers movement 2, but you're probably not going to be sending that out like unless you need to, like, I don't even know why, if you have a secret objective that you need to get into an anomaly or something. And then the other interesting thing is choose 2 non-faction techs owned by other players when starting the game. So again, really interesting. Um, you get to pick and choose between all the different players. So hopefully you'll get someone that owns a yellow, like Sarween Tools, to allow you to then immediately get the special planet and then immediately get your other yellow tech that's unique to this faction. But yeah, those are. This is its difficulty ranking. It's like 2 out of 3 as a complexity. But yeah. Oh, and lastly, I've been reading this, The Fractured Void. It's pretty good. It's not like the greatest writing, but the storyline's pretty good, like pretty solid. But yeah, so that's the new codex. Again, mostly like these guys, probably the coolest part of the whole thing. I hope people like this. I hope people enjoy it. I love Twilight Imperium. If you'd like me to do this with the other 2 codexes, I would love to. Yeah, just show the love, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Goodbye.